Answer is, survey says, yeah, whatever. It's all good. The Family Feud, of course, making news. As you might imagine, it's a local story that's gotten a little national play, but not much, though ultimately it will. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv, and it's very unfortunate. It's truly not something we want to talk about. It's truly not something you want to see aired out in public, but it looks like it's going to be that way. We, of course, are talking about the battle for ownership of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans, and Tom Benson making a decision to change the direction of his franchises in the future as of last week. Let's take a look at the timeline of events that have unfolded to lead to this. Now, of course, I was at the press conference right down the road here at another place in 1985 when Tom Benson bought the team and says, we're going to be working to win in New Orleans, as I recall. And then, of course, in 2004, October 29th, he married Gail Marie Lejeune, and she, of course, became his wife. That's 10 years now. Rita Benson LeBlanc promoted to owner, executive VP of administration in 2006 after Katrina was the face of the franchise at the time. Saints win the Super Bowl in Miami on February 7, 2010. And in 2012 in April, Tom Benson steps forward again, helps save another entity for New Orleans, this time the pro basketball franchise, then known as the Hornets. And then most recently, Benson announcing that he will transfer his franchises to Gail upon becoming deceased. And, of course, now you've got the 3 R's, as they're being called, that are now saying that they are going to fight this through a lawsuit to try to win control of the teams, which, of course, was the initial intent of Tom Benson. We've heard all kinds of terminology here, irrevocable trust, and we could go on and on. We're not legal people. We're not lawyers. But all I know, Amy, is we look at this whole situation, and there's no dog in the fight here. We know these people. I know them very well. I don't want to see this. People ask your opinion, you're going to give it, obviously, but more than anything else, just looking at it from afar as you do, it's got to be disappointing, frustrating, and disturbing, I would imagine.
It is deeply, deeply disturbing. As a sports fan, as someone that works in the sports arena, as a Louisianian, frankly, to see something like this happen, it's just one of those cases that every family has dirty laundry, no doubt about it. But to see something that is being played out, and frankly, some of the things being said that are so malicious, some of it just downright despicable of what is being said, and then you look at what forced it to this point. You know, I mean, there's so much to read, and if you're following it, you know, there seems to be something new every day that's coming out. But I think that the biggest thing about it, and you know, and Kenny was making this point off the air before we went on, that, you know, Tom Benson, this is not something that he came to and woke up one morning and decided, today's the day that I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I mean, this was years in planning. So, you know, if what we know is as bad as it is, can only imagine the reality and the truth of really how bad this situation has gotten for it to be here. And the fact that it is now drawing in so many different players. I mean, you have different players that are speaking out about how they feel about it. And so it's creating a distraction and a story that nobody wants to see happen here in New Orleans.
And Brian, when you know some of the things that have transpired being in the industry as we are, and frankly, some of these things were not worth reporting. And frankly, if people did report something, they might get retribution because, frankly, a lot of people in the industry are concerned about their jobs when it comes to the New Orleans Saints and even the New Orleans Pelicans. That's a fact. So as a result, when you know what you know, and what Amy said, you know that that's true, that this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. We know about a previous suspension of sorts. We know about a lot of things that transpired. So as a result, this could not have been a spur-of-the-moment decision. This was something that was coming, and it had to be very painful, I would think, for Tom Benson. In fact, I'm sure it was.
Well, you know, if any time that you have a family situation and there's a breakup, estrangement, things that they've said to each other, everybody understands this. We all can relate it to our lives as people within families. My feeling all along has been is what is good for this area, what is good for Pelican fans, Saints fans, and the history and the future of these pro franchises. Folks, we're talking about billions of dollars in an industry, in two industries here that have a tremendous effect on the commerce in this area. So when you make a decision and everybody's going to draw a line and stand on the side of a line they believe in, the bottom line is what is good for this region and this fan base.
Well, you talked about the money aspect of it, Brian, so let's take a look at the Benson Empire and the financial worth and the values. Here we go. The Saints, when he purchased the team in 1985 for $70.2 million, well, now you look at what they're worth. Over $1 billion. The Pelicans, purchased in 2012 for $336 million, now estimated to be worth $650 million. Ricky, so you're talking about appreciation like you wouldn't believe, and that's the appreciation that the parties involved have for this. You can say it's about ego, you can say it's about attention, you can say it's about control. It's about money, largely, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of money involved. I mean, when you got the team for 70, 80 million and worth over $1 billion, that's a lot of money involved. So, everybody want their piece, and you just look at how it's going to turn out, that you see what's going on now. But, my thing is, I'm an ex-Saint, I'm a Hall of Famer, so what I look at is what the people over there doing now for the team and stuff. I mean, a lot of people look at it as what their family fighting over, but I see the moves that their team making, trying to see if they're making the right move. That's more of my concern.
Well, $1.7 billion worth for these two franchises combined. And we're going to get into the impact of what's happening now on the franchises in our hot seat segment, so we'll reserve comment on that for that particular situation. But Amy, we've seen these kind of things happen in professional football before, and I wrote a piece for sportsNOLA.com last week about how you can't have two chiefs. Mm-hmm. You go back to the Mara family and the secession there, and he split it among two sons 50-50. Mm-hmm. The sons ended up hating each other, didn't talk for 20 some odd years until one of them died. Mm-hmm. You look at the 49ers situation with Eddie DeBartolo and Denise DeBartolo-York. He's never regained control. You look at the Rams situation when Carol Rosenblum died and Georgia got 70%, their son got 30%. She axed him. She ran him out because she had the controlling interest. You can't have more than one chief.
No, you can't. And this seems to be a fight that has been brewing for quite some time. And the things that you referenced, anytime that there has been this family situation of people fighting over it, it ends up being almost the ruination of these families. But, at the heart of it, and while I'm sorry that the Benson family is dealing with the personal crisis that they are, at the same time, we have to look at the public impact. And I think that, Brian, you hit it on the head that, yes, while it does affect them from the personal financial standpoint, especially in the situation with the Saints, where, you not only have the fan base that it has and what it does from the economy, but this is also a team that has a lot of government money that is tied up in it as well. I mean, this is bigger than just family members fighting over who gets what piece of this pie.
I agree, and you know what, when you're talking about family, let's make it perfectly clear that Rita, the Benson, the estranged Benson part of the family has every right to do what they're doing from a litigation standpoint, okay? If they feel that they're being wronged here, you take it to court. And unfortunately, that's the way of the world today. And she's doing, Renee, Rita, and Ryan are doing everything that they think that they can do to correct a wrong in their estimation. Unfortunately, there's a lot of peripheral damage being caused here, not to mention the potential, and we're going to get to it, is in the football family, the football foundation, that franchise could be irrevocably damaged down the road.
And we'll get into that in the next segment. Rick, obviously this is something that you'd love to see it resolved before it goes on too long. Smart people involved in this. I think everybody involved here is a smart person. They wouldn't be successful otherwise. You'd like to think that they could settle this before it gets so nasty.
Well, it's like anything else, Brian. Just like the guy's lawsuit against the NFL. Once you put those lawyers involved, all they see is dollar bill signs, and they're trying to get as much as they can for themselves, not only their clients. So it's a tough fight right now.
Well, you got people choosing sides, and that's unfortunate. Most of them are choosing one side as we speak, which we'll touch on more in the next segment. And when that happens, you're going to alienate one or the other. But mark my words, this is what's been going on for the last several years inside those doors. Believe me, that's what's been happening when you have more than one chief and you have a secession, and the successor is in the house already. And now all three of them are in the house, which has made it a more uncomfortable situation for a lot of people. It's part of the deal. It's unfortunate, but we'll see how it resolves itself. It's time now for our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening. And as always, it's a good one. Tom Brady has won 3 Super Bowls, while Russell Wilson can join the club of multiple Super Bowl winning quarterbacks with a win on Sunday. And our trivia question: how many quarterbacks have won multiple Super Bowls Here's a spoiler hint. Don't read my piece at sportsNOLA.com right now. Is it A7, B9, C11, or D13? Think about it. Ricky's counting as he speaks. See if he gets the correct answer. When we return in just a moment, the impact of the Family Feud on the franchise.